Okay, we are live. Hello, people. We're live on YouTube. We are not live on the Facebooks. That is over with, and I'm just gonna stall you guys for a second while I quickly share my stuff. It's gonna take me 2 seconds. We got some guests tonight. Probably repeat that again. Don't want to leave any dead air as I speak. If my guests need to use the restroom, feel free, or do anything that you got to do. Stretch your legs, stretch your toes, crack your knuckles, do your thing. Okay, we're gonna share this to the group. Not gonna blast everywhere with everything yet. Okay, that's good. That is what it is. Hello, hail brethren. That's Oni64. Nice to see you there, pal. Okay, I'm just gonna I just have to share one more link. We'll be good to go. Let's find. There we go. We have the Frumess. The Frumess YouTube channel needs to be shared. Yo, what's up, Peter? Thank you for joining us. We're going to start in just a second. I just need to share one more link in one place right now. Okay, that's there. That is to the group, and then this is to the Facebook page. Why am I talking about the things I'm doing out loud? I don't know, but that's just how I roll. And we will share it on the personal spot. Oh, it's not going to let me. Let's do it right there. Okay. Okay there, kids. Live now on the YouTubes. On over. Yeah, finally glad to get over. I mean, I like doing it on Facebook, but it's just a lot of reasons why I want to do it straight on YouTube. Just makes my life easier in many ways. It's really hard to rip Facebook live video. You have no idea how hard it is to rip this stuff. It's not easy. By the way, to my guests, we're going to try. I'm trying my best not to cuss. Again, if it slips, it slips. It's no big deal. Feel comfortable. But if we can try and refrain as much as possible, that is a big old help. Okay, enough of that. Let's go into it. Okay, so the show has begun. So first of all, I just want to say that I am extremely excited to say that 1979 is here. It's coming, like very, very, very soon. We're in the official countdown to 7 days. 7 days from today, we have the official premiere. I wanted to give you a little bit of information about that. Hold on, let's share the screen real quick. Oh, yeah, we're going to do this guy. All right, there you go. You can see it. So look at it. There it is. So that is official on Samhain Sunday, November 1st. November Coming Fire. We have They Came from Lodi, 1979, A Year of Horror Business. It's the giant-sized annual. It will be on Facebook Live. It's not going to be on YouTube. There's a lot of content in this thing that I don't own the copyright to. Again, it's done nonprofit and done kind of as it's part of an episode, really. It's not I like to say it's more documentary than live video podcast, but it is what it is, and so by those means, it has to be restructured for YouTube. So what's going to happen is you're going to see the full uncut premiere live on the Facebook page. I'm not going to do the group thing. It is just going to be out there. Yes, that is true. Well, thanks for spoiling one of my guests. I guess I'll leave the other one as a surprise. I'm very stoked to have both of these guys, but we'll talk about that in a second. I got to finish my spiel here. So what's going to happen is you're going to get the full uncut version, 3.5 hours. What's up? Rumor? How are you? I did not check my messages yet. I promise I will. I just me and those messages, man. They just pile up. So it's going to be the 3.5 hour version. And then there's going to be a shorter version that's on YouTube for copyright purposes. And then what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and make the full uncut version available in other ways, by other means, if need be, if necessary. But more on that. So I just want to let's start off the show with that. And just to give you an example of the vastness of this thing, look at this. I exported a version of the show. Didn't mean to do that. Look at that. It took me over 12 hours to export this thing. This is a huge beast right here. Let's look at that other photo. Look at this timeline. Look at all those clips. Do you see the amount of clips here? I mean, there is a lot of stuff. There's so much packed into the nooks and the crannies of this situation. So beware of that. Yeah, it's going to be really spectacular. Now we're gonna pay the bills. Since November is coming, we we have our November coming fire sour cream apparel line, along with our They Came from Lodi shirts. As you can see, you can get it all. Here's the t-shirt business store. A portion of the revenue goes right into the fund for creating this content, as well as They Came from Lodi. And if and when you donate or buy or whatever the case may be, because maybe you don't want a t-shirt, maybe you just want to buy a cup of coffee, and you can do that right here at Ko-Fi. So you hop on Ko-Fi, you buy a cup of coffee, you can do that too. If you do this, you will be added to the credits of as an executive producer for 1979. We have a list already, including one of our guests tonight, who bought an astounding number of cups of coffee, of which I'm truly grateful for. We have just a bunch of people have become donors, and that's wonderful. Also, you could go to the website. Here's me. This is when we were shooting that Robbie Bloodshed music video, setting his guitar on fire, his Dr. Chud guitar on fire. And if you come inside, click some of the links inside, click on the ads. And what that does is that sends pennies to the AdSense account. So if you don't have a buck, I understand. I listen, I don't have a buck myself either. So, click on one of these ads, and that puts pennies in the AdSense account. That really helps. And if you're interested in other things I've done or other sort of movies, you can go to VOD. You can support indie horror. Rent something on VOD. Feel free. All of it's available to rent on Vimeo, or click on one of these ads. Okay, that about does my whole spiel. So without further ado, now I'd like to introduce my guests and what the topic of tonight's conversation is. But before you do, Wind's howling, just constructive criticism. You got to do something with that blue masking tape back there. Everything is so messy. It's like you just don't care. Just saying. Winds, I appreciate that constructive criticism. I really, truly do. You can say that it's that I don't care. I mean, I guess I don't care. I don't know, because I just don't think it's going to be permanent. As a matter of fact, I'm about to rearrange my office. I'm about to start editing They Came from Lodi, like the major documentary for which this show is about, to raise awareness about. And I have to reconfigure my whole space in order to do it. So it's probably going to come down. This background that you've been seeing for months and months is not going to be here anymore. So I'm sorry that the blue painter's tape offends you. It is what it is, man. I could just go, it's punk rock, dude. But again, sorry you're offended, man. I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry you're offended. Okay. Moving on. So tonight's show is about the Misfits and the internet. I think one of the most important aspects to the Misfits mythology is the avenues of which it spread. Wow. Rue Morrick says it was actually 7 months. Wow. It's been 7 months of doing this. This is crazy. In any case, the mythology spread through different various avenues. You have the music side, you have the tape trading side in the 80s, Metallica wearing the t-shirts on stage. We've talked about this ad nauseum. We've talked about this. But then the 90s hit, and with it, the internet started to arrive in people's homes, and that sort of just changed everything. All of a sudden, before, if you wanted to connect with another fiend, you had to do it at a show. You had to actually travel out to a Danzig, Samhain show, a Misfit show, see somebody else wearing the shirt, or just be at any kind of show and be like, and the moment that you see the other person is wearing the Crimson Ghost or whatever, there's that moment of recognition, and there's it's like the slight nod. It's like we're in the know, we're in the know. And I think that exploded when people had the internet in their house. All of a sudden, yeah, Peter says the t-shirts really spread the word too. Cheers to you, Wins. No worries. No worries. I appreciate your concern, truly. I hope you like the little spooky stickers I put up by the window. That's a new touch. I know. Oni, help me. Where do I find one of those pumpkins? So it'd be great. Maybe use duct tape as graves. Yeah, right. If my pants tear, I'll just wrap them in duct tape. Point is, all of a sudden, the t-shirt thing took on a whole new level when people could do this in their houses. They could and it started with email chains. And frankly, I don't know that much about it. There's a whole lot I don't know. And so to that end, I decided to bring in some experts on the situation. I'm going to introduce them one by one. I'm going to start with someone who you may be familiar with. He's made himself to be a big presence here in I don't know what you would call this community, or Lodi community, whatever you want to. They came from Lodi community. He ran a website that when I was first looking and for anything about the Misfits, one of those websites, we did a whole episode about it called tvcasualty.com. So I thought, what better way to talk about the Misfits on the internet than bring Russell Casualty from tvcasualty.com onto the scene. So I'm doing that right now. I'm adding to the stream. Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing super.
I love the backgrounds.
Yeah, we got to make it look good.
Yeah. And it's a great shirt. tvcasualty.com. There you go. Yeah. Always on brand,
That's it, man.
I call Russell's Russell Patterson, but I prefer to call him Russell Casualty. It just makes more sense to me. And he has been and Russell's gotten involved. He's one of the admins in the or moderators in the Lodi group, and he runs his own group too. He has the Misfits 77 to 83 covers group, which is very interesting. I think it's a wonderful addition. As a matter of fact, Russell, if you want, put that link in there so people can go find that group.
All right.
If you want to. And
yeah.
Lots of interesting covers out there. So that's our first guest. And then another guest, this guy and I, we don't really, it's something that we kind of go back a little ways, but not like terribly much. But in the more recent years, we started up hanging out, going to shows, went to a couple shows together. Lives one town over from me, a truly a collector, a information knower, hoarder, knowledger, whatever you want to call him, and a presence that I've been aware of for years, for far longer since I've known him. I mean, this guy goes all the way back on Misfit Central. I'm not going to tell you what my handle was, but you might know him by Raymie Stein. So I'm going to bring Raymie Stein into the mix. What is up? Hey.
What's
How
up?
you doing? Raymie was actually in a music video that I directed for a band called Wolfface, called Owen is a Dracula, with his girlfriend. And we had a lot of fun making that video. And because you live so close. And hello, welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Telling me
not to curse is very hard.
Look, curse if you want to. I'm just trying to prevent that, but that would be great.
All right.
If whatever. You just do your thing. You just do your thing.
There's a child in the room.
Peter says he remembers seeing a Misfits t-shirt in a Suburbia movie. You know what I might do, since we're having a conversation? I'm not going to do that. I'll just put the comments up as they come, and if I need to interject, I'll interject. But yeah, so you guys, your relationship with the Misfits, and the internet goes way, way back. I mean, you guys were on you guys were kind of there at the dawn of this stuff. I came in a little bit later, but I know, Russell, you were involved in the 90s. Raymie, where does your story begin in terms of your involvement with, you were also on the Misfits Bible, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, where does that begin?
Getting into the Misfits or just the Misfits Bible?
All right, you can tell me when you got it. All right, but let's start there with each of you. When did you guys both get into the Misfits?
All right. Mine. I was in junior high, maybe high school. A friend of mine that we affectionately called Noser. He was the guy in town. He's got it tattooed on his hands, man. I mean, he owns it. But he just had that in with all of those strange bands. I came from a really small town in Alabama, so those kind of things weren't really out there for us. But he introduced me to the Misfits and Minor Threat and things like that. And American Nightmare, first song, and I was hooked because I make no bones about it. I'm a huge Elvis fan, and that was just like, wow, man, what a great way to get me into this band. But that was really it for me. And then we sought out all of the CDs and tapes and things at the time, and just built our love for the band.
Yeah, that's great. And what about you, Raymie?
I don't think I could trace back the exact moment because, like, growing up, my friend's older sister was really into the Misfits. So it was just like always on the background, like when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old when I knew the kid.
Whoa.
But I don't know. We were like 12, 13 years old, and I think his sister was just like, here's my records because I've grown out of this phase. And,
right.
We see Legacy Retire, like, oh, what is this? And that whole just started from there. And then we went to, we'd go to like stores like X on St. Mark's, and we'd find like all these like bootleg Misfit shirts and patches. I still have my first Misfit shirt down the stairs, if you can see that door down there in a bin. I still have like my original Misfits patch, which was the Glenn Legacy Vitality, somewhere in my room, clinging for life from like 92, 93.
Okay, so tell me how you guys first discovered. Well, let's talk a little bit about the connectivity of the internet in like that time in the 90s. It's kind of like a crazy. I'm trying to remember. For me, like I just remember, man, I remember AOL, and I remember I wasn't really I didn't become a message board guy until probably 2000, 2001. And I don't think I got into Misfits Central until 2002, maybe.
Really?
So probably more on the later side of things from the original heyday. But what? Tell me about how you discovered. Yeah, wow. Geocities, web rings. Wow. Yeah, remember the web rings, like about a topic, and you'd be like, whoa, there's so many websites up on this web ring, and I gotta like, look around and find tripod. Oni's crushing it with these.
Angel. I started the Samhain web ring with this other guy.
Oh, really?
Because no one knew who Samhain was, and I kicked myself for not buying Initium when I first saw it. Some like mom and pop store in like the East Village. The first time I saw it.
And what about you? When did you? So you started a Samhain web ring, and what about you, Russell? Well, how did you guys? How did you get involved with the Misfits Bible? What is the Misfits Bible? What is the Misfits chainmail? What is all that? Tell me about that.
There's a chainmail.
What is it? Explain to the audience. What is a chainmail?
So when AOL first came out, unless Russell, you want to take this over?
No, you go right ahead, man.
So AOL was like this. Internet was, ooh, what is this? And it was kind of like, you all write a letter and you send it off, and the next guy writes a letter and he sends it off, but it was an email. So it was just, so everyone would send all these emails to one email, and they would just post. And then it was just like, you'd get 50 dudes' emails, and then it would grow and grow until I forgot who ran it. Was that Tank? Oh, it was Kennedy. Oh, right. It was Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He started the whole thing.
Yeah, it was him. And he would send out, I'm probably butchering this too because of my weird memory. But he would send out like, it would start like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20. Then it would just keep building and building and building. And Michael Graves even had an email in there.
Yeah.
And he would respond to the fans.
Too, right?
Yeah, Bobby Steele, his Juno email.
Steve Zing was on there.
Yep.
Wow.
There were several of the guys on there. But it was like, what did it come like once a week on Sunday or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know because it was like I didn't even have a. I would use my dad's work computer because my computer was like kids these days don't even know what it is, like the green and black screen.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
working.
Mainframe
Oh,
or
yeah.
DOS. I just throw this little thing out here. I didn't even care about computers. I had zilch interest in them. I'm an electronics guy. I like to build guitar amps and things. But this guy that I was working with, this guy, just to make this really short, he was trying to impress me with the internet, and which I had no interest in. And he said, well, let me pull up this thing. And he pulled up this thing called Yahoo. And he said, what's that band you like? It's the Misfits. He goes, yeah. And he types in the Misfits, and up comes Misfit Central. And I was like, it was just nuts, man. I'm like, okay, I'm getting a computer. And I got a computer, that week, and started searching out information on the Misfits. And within a year, I had a user page with my internet provider, and then eventually morphed into getting a domain and building that site. But I had zero interest in it. So thank you, Misfits, for getting me into computers, which is what pays the bills for me today.
Wait, so you're telling me? So you're saying? Wait. So if I understand this correctly, the entirety of you getting connected with computers on the internet happened because of your interest in the Misfits.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So no matter what my mom says about that dang band, yes, yeah, it pays the bills for me today. I write code for a living.
Wow.
And I would not have cared for that had it not been for the Misfits and Mark Kennedy's site.
Did you can you tell the crowd, for anybody who might be new to the show, remember we were talking on stream with me, what happened with the wolf's blood,
All right, so my mom, oh Lord, I had the wolf's blood t-shirt, and I'd probably had it, I don't know, a couple of months, and it had been washed several times. I did my own laundry, and at some point I might have dropped stuff off, in the laundry room, and she went through it or found it in the dryer, and she would fold my clothes, like a good mother would do. And mind you, I'm still in high school at the time. And I got the shirt back and pulled it out of the laundry pile, and she had taken something and scratched the wolf's nuts and stuff off. Yeah. Just, so much of it that it made a hole in the thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Because as it turns out, when you really look at the nitty gritty of that shirt, it's like I don't know if it's the wolf guy. Somebody has a snake cock. There's a snake cock on the shirt, like right then and there.
And skull balls.
And skull balls, right. It's a snake cock with skull balls. And it's kind of amazing. It's like this really, truly. Oh, thank you. He's going to pull it out right now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That yesterday.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
He just wanted to make us jealous and show off the horror business back there, too.
Oh, please. That was from Bobby Steele.
Okay.
There it is.
Pull it up real close. Let's take
that you talk about?
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Because there's like an embryo for like where the eagle dick should be.
Look down.
That?
Right.
I guess my mom missed that one. I know.
Wait, is that it? Where is the skull?
You're talking about this one.
Yeah.
Snake cock with skull balls. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Now get real close. Now you can see there's two skulls right there. Yeah, I see it.
Sorry, everything's like backwards on my screen.
There's a snake cock right there. Look at that. You think his wang ends where the shaft ends? It doesn't. He's got the dangling snake balls, skull balls. And Glenn was just like, "Oh, that's so cool. Let's do it." Although it didn't sound like that at that point in time.
I was actually debating rebuying this shirt last night, and then I was like, "What's wrong with me?" I'm like almost 40.
You're an avid
collector. Hey, watch it now.
I know.
So okay. So hold on. Can I edit this while I'm on live? Yeah,
possibly.
Misfits on the internet.
Is snake cock considered cussing?
No.
I don't know. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, don't worry about it. I just,
By the way, can you see where I am right now?
I'm just trying. I'm trying to,
All
Yeah,
that is
the
like
book here. That's the
all
ultimate.
that is this is all my
Oh my Lord, what are you pulling
that's
out?
all Walk Among Us.
Oh my God. Well, he's
Oh, there's
showing
even
off
more.
the collection.
That's half of it, actually.
Oh, here we go. Russell's throwing down too.
not really.
Hold on. Oh, fuck.
Well, he's throwing something down.
I'm just
That
jokingly showing off the
yeah.
45 RPM version.
Oh, nice.
What's the difference between the 45 RPM? No, you can really see the snake cock there.
Yeah.
Yes, I have snake cock imaging on my camera, so
Perfect.
I just brought that out because
Wow.
every time my sister's boyfriend comes down here, she goes, "How many copies of that one record do you have?"
What a cover, man. That's some cover. Okay, so anyway, back to the task at hand, though. So we have this situation where you have people are starting to band together via email to discuss the Misfits, and you have former members and members of the band and people that were around back then, like Steve, who was not in the Misfits proper, but saw a lot of cool stuff. All like talking and being a part of the situation. And at the same time, Mark Kennedy's become the president of the new Fiend Club, right? Am I right about that, Russell?
yes, to my knowledge, yes.
So how does Misfits Central fully start? Because at the same time, there's a book happening, right?
I think, and you would really have to ask Mark, or maybe Raymie knows, but I think it was one and the same, and really he was just, the information was being put on the internet that was going to be in the book, or he was, called it a book in order to be able to copyright it somehow. I'm not really sure
as he went along. I think, from what I could gather.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, say that again. I missed that part.
He was like documenting like Bobby Steele would call someone out on like a BS statement, like, oh, this happened and this guy was in the band, and Bobby would be like, no, this is, or like, Steve, or one of these guys would just go like, erroneous.
Yeah.
Right. And he was keeping track. Mark Kennedy was keeping track. And I do know that he met with Tank when Tank was like putting together his legendary collection that would eventually sell for $50,000. He was putting together his legendary collection that and Mark would come over to his house and just like, take inventory and copy all this stuff over. So this is where all this information is coming from. And at the same time, there besides Misfit Central, you have other websites developing. You have TV Casualty. When did TV Casualty first actually pop up?
The domain, I think I registered that somewhere in 95 or 96. I actually tried to track that down earlier, but I don't know. I have the old Network Solutions invoices somewhere. I'll dig that up one day. But it started out as a user page with my internet provider. But www.lcworkshop.com/tilde/user/redneck just really didn't have that ring. I threw it was actually my internet provider. They were friends of mine, and he was the guy that taught me into getting a domain. Tossed around a few ideas like die.com or things like that, but I was kind of hoping to get something that your average Misfits fan could be like, hey, I know what that is, when they see it.
Right.
But it wouldn't cause like potential employers to go like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? I did get stopped by a guy once who saw my truck and said, hey, I got a TV that's not working. Can you take a look at that for me? So no, that's not it. But yeah, it was somewhere around 95, 96.
And when did Misfit Central go up? Was it what year did it, like the actual website? Can you recall, either one of you?
I want to say 94.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if not before, I mean, that was about the time I first saw the internet, as ridiculous as that sounds, you know, somebody showed me the internet, and it was already up and running, you know.
Wow.
But that's about right.
Yeah, I want to say 94. Maybe it was 93. I remember there was like, I found some website like at the wee hours of the night when I told my parents I was in bed, and I was like, you know, remember when you had to plug in?
Oh,
yeah, it was just, I remember like, okay, this got a list of bands. I just scrolled down to M for the Misfits, and like that big skull with like all the links to the side of it popped up, and Misfit Central on top of it. I think that was what it was. And it took forever to load because my modem was very slow.
It was the original. It was the Undead Hands that they eventually got rid of. What was the reason behind that, Raymie?
What, the hands?
Remember the hands, the skeleton hands that were there for years and years and years and years and years. And
I'm talking before this, when it was just the skull.
Yeah, the ASCII logo skull.
Yeah, it was like a weird, like my first Crimson Ghost skull.
So when did the hands come in?
I want to say that was late 90s, early 2000s. That was Rick.
There were a bunch of that forum was so active for so long.
Well, the forum was only up in the early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah, but that's when I first started to dive in. By the way, before we get there, let me ask you guys this. When did what about 138.com? Who ran that, and what was up with that?
The guy's name was Terry, and
it was.
Pardon me a second. I got something for you. Hold on.
Okay. All right, I'm going to keep the talk going while Russell goes and gets something.
I love that guy. Had really good, like probably before Photoshop. Like, was a thing. Like, he had skills in this, like,
he had good skills.
Design. He had really good graphic design skills.
His layout was nice. I liked his website. It was cool.
It was beautiful.
He had a lot of stuff, and he had the Misfits Bible, the entirety of it. You could download a file that had everything.
You're all right. You did.
It was nuts. What are you going to show us, Russell Casualty?
Let me get this. I'm all backwards. All right. So if Terry, I can't remember his last name. If he's still out there, dude, I still have this.
Oh, wow. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm not even kidding. I serious props to you for having that.
Awesome.
Wow. Look at that.
You're wearing one shirt and you're holding the other that I didn't have. I only had the Misfits Bible one.
Bro, I got to tell you, that shirt probably would go for like money on its own, just being what it is. Like, even it's like a shirt for a fan site, but it probably would be like worth something on some level. I don't know.
You know, I found one of my shirts on eBay. Somebody was trying to sell it for like $20. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Really?
Yeah. Nice. Somebody in Birmingham. So, you know, it's probably somebody I gave one to personally. The hell, what am I saying? I did it with all of them. I didn't sell them, you know, I just gave them away.
Yeah. That's cool though.
But yeah, I loved that site, man. 138.com. You know, he had his own flavor, you know.
Yeah.
All of them had their own flavor. That was the key. You know, you had really interesting interviews. You couldn't see, the only interviews they have at Misfit Central were just, you know, fanzine, archived fanzine stuff. You actually conducted your own interviews. 138 had the best pictures, like in terms of just like the variety of everything in relation to what the vinyl looked like. Like, you really didn't see that on Misfit Central.
Yeah,
much of that. Your pictures were your pictures, Russell. They were not pictures of like the actual stuff. So this was like the place you could go to see all that, like the actual merch or, you know, the actual records and this jazz. So it's like every website sort of served its own purpose, which was pretty cool. And between those three, I would say those are the three big ones, right? Like, what else was, I mean, those were the three tent poles of the situation.
Around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Listen.2/Danzig, aka the Seventh House.
Yeah.
Oh, of course the Seventh House, but we're talking about Misfits. Of course the Seventh. Yeah. Seventh House is huge, but I'm thinking of, you know, it was the Seventh House wasn't really devoted to Misfits. Seventh House was devoted to Danzig. And yes, Seventh House goes doesn't Seventh House go back to 95?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like Dorm Project.
Right? It was on Earthlink at one point. I remember.
I remember /Danzig.
Does Devilman still run is that forum Toast, or is that still going? It's all on Facebook now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Facebook group, and he's very active there. But I
super active there.
I can't remember the last time I actually went to seventhhouse.com.
Yeah, it's been a while. I used to go. Yeah. I used to lurk the forum, but I feel like the forum went bye when Facebook came around.
Yeah, and that's a whole different feel over there. You know, nothing at all against those guys. It's a whole different family. You know, like I feel like they came from Lodi. Story Group is kind of my family now with, you know, dealing with Misfit stuff. It's, you know, I feel like the new kid over there, and I just, you know,
it's there's lots of different flavors, and within the Misfit, Samhain, Danzig like niche nerd community, there's like thousands of different layers to that, which is it's interesting how it's its own microcosm all of its own. But you know, it is what it is. And yeah, though I would say when I think of Seventh House, though, I really think of Danzig. Like I don't think, I mean, sure. Yes, I think of Samhain and Misfits by proxy, but you know, I don't know. It's just not the same as, you know, we primarily in the Lodi thing, we do 77 to 83 and we talk shit about 95. We didn't at first, but eventually when my relationships with those guys fell out, we did. Raymie has something to say about that. Go ahead.
You see that behind me?
What's behind?
I can't tell what it is.
What was supposed to be the album before American Psycho?
What?
Wait, what? Oh, I think you told me about this. What? I can't see it. You got to bring it.
Graves saw that at my house, and he goes, "Oh my god!" He's like, "Someone still has this?" I go, "Yeah."
Let's see it. So this was the album cover before American Psycho, guys.
American the Conqueror or Christ the Psycho or what?
No, I mean, like, look, there's.
Yeah, I can't see.
It's hard to see.
Jerry Graves Doyle and King Kong. It was originally supposed to be called The Eighth Wonder of the World.
Oh my goodness, I never knew that. What an interesting piece of information.
Yeah.
But it was originally drawn before they even had a lineup. It was just Jerry Doyle and like the Crimson Ghost and Dr. Fives playing the piano.
Wow.
And the Crimson Ghost.
That was gonna be before American Psycho. Wow.
That was before they even had a lineup.
Really?
Yeah.
So that must have been from 94, right? Or 93?
Yeah, and then when
they're still in the lawsuit, that's why the font looks different. They're probably trying to watch out. There's no Crimson. Is Crimson Ghost in there? I couldn't tell.
No, that's the with the actual like solidified lineup for 95.
Gotcha.
But the whole thing is in like a marquee thing because King Kong was like, you know, supposed to be a big Broadway draw, but also if Jerry didn't get the rights to the Misfits, did you ever hear this story?
No, tell me. Let's hear it.
So they were to call it Them, like the movie Them with the giant hands.
Right.
And everything like everything after M was supposed to drop down after the M. Like M was supposed to stand up, and then the with the M would be Them. Oh, that was Jerry's like grand.
You want to know something? I think that is freaking cool as hell, and is so much more clever than just being the Resurrected Misfits. That is awesome. And it's a shame that they didn't do that, man. I mean, just think about the lasting power. They might still be out there doing their thing, or he might still be out there doing his thing all the way up until, you know, he does a reunion with Glenn, or maybe he does a reunion with Glenn way, way earlier because Glenn is like, oh, you know, that I see you doing your thing. Them. All right, let's go. Go be the Misfits, you know, and just go back to being the Misfits. I don't know.
Well, there was Christ the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And I did bring that up with him back in like 98, 99. He's like, yeah, I mean, he was talking about trying to get out of the Roadrunner contract. He's like, I don't know. Maybe we'll call ourselves the Posies. I'm like, why don't you call yourselves Christ the Conquerors? You know what? Maybe I will.
Wow.
But of course he didn't. He put out Cuts from the Crypt and kept going.
No, right, because they had a contract. Didn't they have they owed him one more album?
2 album contract. and he was telling me he didn't know how to get out of it, and he said he was going to do like the whole like Prince thing where like Prince just did the symbol,
Right.
but he didn't know what to do. And I was like, Christ the Conqueror, come on. It's right
You've already
there.
got it.
They just should have called themselves them. That would have been easier. In any case, getting back to the Misfits and the internet, point being, all these sites come up, people start getting like they start getting connected. All of a sudden, people are starting to connect, not just at shows, but from all over the world, right? And that's continued all the way to this day. Tell me about what that was like for you guys when tapping into those communities. Did it feel like a community at that time? Talking with these random like people on the internet who weren't even people. They were just, letters or, like sentences that represented people.
There was nothing cooler to me than, meeting people through the internet, and then, hooking up at a show.
Right.
One of the best like internet friendships I think that I ever had was Scary Dave. If you guys know him, or he was big on the Misfits Bible. We went to see, he and I, but a group of friends and I went down to DC when I was living in PA. We went down to DC to see the Samhain reunion tour in '99. And I took I had this giant 3-ring binder with, all these cool things like that little Earth AED flyer and some other stuff, and like all my photos and things, that I'd, taken of other shows. And, Dave had us over to his apartment, and we're looking at this stuff. It's like, man, that's really cool, and we're having a great time. And then I leave and I get home to PA and I'm like, shit, I left it. And I panicked, man. I was like, oh my God, I don't know this dude. I don't know anything. And he's like, hey man, I got your stuff. I'll mail it back to you.
Wow.
And it's like, man, he's a stand-up guy, and although, we never like hung out or anything, a whole lot. I think he did go to a China show, and Dave, you can let me know if I'm wrong, but at the Phantasmagoria in Wheaton, Maryland, which is just north of DC. And, saw him there again, but it's super guy, and so that kind of stuff, I thought that was just really great. You meet these people, and most of them turn out to be just really awesome people who just really love the band and just want to share and talk and hear your stories, and and want to tell theirs. And I mean, that was just great stuff, And then there's like that 1% that are like complete nut jobs,
I think that's just every Misfits fan in general is always that one guy is just like,
yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also like literally the same old arguments that devolve into like bickering and debating and, over and over and over again. I'll tell you, there's only so much you can talk about within this microcosm. It's not, I can see why that stuff sort of would go down. I think the single biggest thing being Graves versus Danzig being the single biggest one, which also goes back to the topic of, brand confusion. That's what it ultimately is. Just brand confusion. Someone was commenting about that in the Lodi group. It's a shame you're not on Facebook, Raymie, because you're missing out. We have such a great group on Facebook, and it's just one step further from Instagram. Got to do it. Take the plunge.
It's not my fault. This kid I can't stand bought out a app I use.
Oh, that's right. Because Raymie actually right.
I went to school at Mark Zuckerberg. I was a year older in high school.
Right.
I didn't know he dropped out because everyone beat the crap out of him.
Oh, we're getting the inside scoop.
Oh my God. Anyway, whatever.
Well, we eventually, years later, now you're on a show that's formerly known as Facebook EVILIVE. So there you go. Now it's just streaming EVILIVE because we're on YouTube now. Although it's really not, the live part was never about being live. It was more about just interacting, connecting with community, and then leaving it archived on YouTube, where that's what it's really more about than anything else. And then I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Raymie, didn't you have like a Angel Fire page or something? Or
GeoCities.
okay, all right.
Hence the Samhain ring.
Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, like Jeff asked about, if I knew you. I was like, well, through the Bible, but I don't know that we ever exchanged emails or anything like that. So I just wanted to touch
bugged
on
you about your shirt once. It's like, where did you get it? And you're like, I made them. And I'm like, oh. Which would make sense if you had the website.
Yeah.
Fun fact: you were the one that posted all the yearbook photos, correct?
Yes.
And you got them off my friend, who now goes under the name JV Bastard.
Nope.
No?
The yearbook photos. I went to Lodi on a trip.
Oh.
And I found Glenn's senior picture in the Lodi library and made like a really shitty copy on their just regular Xerox machine. And
they're not good anymore. So.
Yeah. And I think it was maybe a few months later, maybe a year later, I went back on another trip and it was during the school year, and I just put on my brass balls and walked into the front door and said, "Hey, I want to talk to somebody, in the yearbook staff or whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's right down the hall. We'll get some guys to take you down there."
Oh,
we
wow.
walked down there. We talked to the yearbook guy, and I tell him what I'm after. He's like, "Sure." He goes, and he opens up this door and he pulls out this stack of yearbooks.
Wow.
And he goes, here's what you're looking for these years. I told him, and I said, "Okay, I'd like to make like color copies of these, because even when it's black and white, it just looks a little better with a color copy machine." And he goes, "Yeah, there's a Staples like over on 41 or whatever it is, And I'm like, and so I walk out of Lodi High School with this stack of yearbooks, and he didn't know me from shit, I mean, Adam, sorry, Jeff.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just
every yearbook photo I have, I either sourced personally from a yearbook, or here lately I found a few using classmates.com, like the Pete Marshall's, found his on there. But yeah, everything, and John Christ actually sent me his. So
oh wow,
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, I never lifted anything from anybody else.
No, I was,
and I don't mean like stole it.
Source of those. I mean, everybody uses those pictures.
Yeah, you are.
It come from you.
Yeah, if you look, a lot of them have the TVC watermark or something like that on there. And if you look at some of those, yeah, and I don't really give a shit. I mean, I liberated them, and that's that. I knew once you put them on the internet, they're everybody's.
That's it.
But if you look at that Glenn senior picture, a lot of them there's a slight green haze around the edge of it, or maybe even the watermark if they haven't cut it out, and that's how you can tell it's mine. But
you can even spot the bootlegs.
Yeah, there was only 500 copies of it made though, so
Yeah.
And 100 of them burned in a garage fire, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, yeah. And Manny has one that's on Polaroid, so it's
right. That's so crazy to me. And I mean, what goes through your mind when you're flipping through this yearbook and you're like, you're like the first person to see this, and like that like you're probably the first Misfits fan to see Glenn Danzig in his high school yearbook picture. What is that? Are you just like, holy hell, what did I find? Like what?
What the screaming girl happy dance is?
Yeah,
something like that. Frank Ducote, I think, who's a guy who used to go by Ratfink76 or something like that on AOL.com.
That was it. I think
he lived in Lodi, and at one point I was just eating in Burger King, and I saw this kid with a Misfits patch on his book bag. He was still in high school, and I was like, "Well, hey, there's somebody that might help me out locally." And I just walked over and approached him, and he was super nice. Hopped in the truck with me. We made some rounds, and I think he might have already had knowledge of it. He might have seen it and said, "Yeah, hey, it's in here. You can go find it, whatever." Because at the time this was kind of a new thing. And so Frank has some connection to that,
wow.
But I can't remember all the minutia.
Right.
Yeah, but cool. Yeah, he lived like right up the street from Chud, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. That's hilarious. I
Yeah.
just would like crack that open and see Glenn with that big 70s floppy
Hey.
tie, flowing black hair, parted down the middle. Looks so nice.
Yes.
So classic. And then
Ambition trade school. That's my
right.
favorite part.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a surprise. I'm not going to say what it is. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I do have a small surprise that's connected to what you just said for 1979, which will premiere in a week. It kind of blew me away. Just something I just discovered out of nowhere. I was like, what? This is so crazy. And it really captures your imagination. And it's not a big deal at all. But I think it's just, whenever we find some new little tidbit or info that we didn't know before, we always, it's like, what part of the, part of the, the appeal is like, it's like sleuthing. It's like trying to decipher mysteries. And for whatever reason, we like to do it particularly about this topic. It's kind of like, there's that thing on Netflix called Don't F with Cats.
Oh, yeah.
It's a crazy documentary. It's really good. In a nutshell, bunch of people find this YouTube video of this kid who's executing cats, and they form a group and they start sleuthing. They just become Angela Lansbury's or whatever the hell her name was. They just murder she wroting this video, and the way it unravels, and like they're analyzing what kind of vacuum cleaner is in the corner and determine that it was only sold. They only sold red vacuums, and then, trying to basically find out who the identity of this person is who would, execute these cats in this terrible way. And when I was watching that, I was going, man, this is just like the Misfits fans. Misfits fans are the Star Wars nerds of the music world. And we like to pour over the story and the minutia, because you know what it is? It's a story. It's the story of the American dream by way of punk rock. And that's why it's so cool. And that's why I think part of the reason why everybody loves talking about it. I also think it has to do with the monster aspect and the horror aspect, and the music is catchy and infectious. And also there's so many myths that surround this band. And it only got worse when the internet came, because all of a sudden you had people who had stories from all over who might have crossed paths with these guys are suddenly sharing them with each other. And it becomes like the legend of Bigfoot, or like whatever you want to call it. And you hear about this or you hear about that. Remember there was a thing, wasn't there an earthquake? There was an earthquake in LA, and Glenn was in his garage. There was this whole thing about Glenn.
About the bricks?
No, it's not the bricks, but the bricks is
the bricks.
We could do a whole episode on those bricks. I mean, like, people see bricks.
There's pictures of me in front of the bricks.
I'm sorry?
There's pictures of me in front of the bricks.
Oh, you took a picture in front of the bricks? Oh, when you went out to LA with what's his face, right?
Which time?
Oh, you went a few times.
That time.
One of my childhood friends now he lives like on the outskirts of LA in like some mountain town, making those Disney bucks. But Kyle, who was from Misfit Central, me, Kyle, and Rick, because like we were sitting in Kyle's house, and Kyle's like, "What should I do at Rammy?" And Rick's like, "Did you take him to Danzig's house?" And he goes, "No." And he's like, "Rammy, you ever been to Danzig's house?" I'm like, "No, why would I be going to Danzig's house?" And he's like, "We're going to Danzig's house." And there's a picture of me with like a gorgeous Frankenstein hoodie, just like.
That's awesome. That's what I would do. That's totally what I would do. Oni64 says it was the Northridge earthquake. He knows what I'm talking about. The Northridge earthquake, the foundation got altered. So here's the thing though. And then Podsmack C-word says damage stained glass. Pod, can you please elaborate on what you mean by damage stained glass? And Win says passion, imagination, and hard work in terms of like what the Misfits did. But the story is that Danzig is working on his garage, or he's in his garage or something. He has a bike. He has like a motorbike. And the idea is the legend is that an earthquake opened up, swallowed Danzig and his motorcycle. And Danzig had to rev his motorcycle out of the earthquake. And it was like Danzig was coming out of hell. That's the BS fan altered, fan goofy, like this is what happened, when we talk about our, He-Man Danzig warrior type guy.
And it was at that moment that he penned Last Ride.
Right, exactly. Oni says, I think he had stained glass windows or something. Oh, maybe you're talking about the house. In any case, the reality was, I think the reality is that the foundation got altered, and maybe his bike went down into the thing, and he had to move his bike out of because the foundation had gotten altered.
Oh, so you mean like the fault line split, and he had to
something like that.
Do what it is, where you're walking it while you keep revving the engine like a jerk.
Probably. Pod says Glenn's werewolf stained glass was damaged in the earthquake. Gotcha. Thanks for explaining that. And that house had magical things in it. This is the type of stuff, though, because this is what happens. A shred of evidence gets found. This is the internet today when it comes to Danzig. So all this stuff happens. A community forms, and then the community. There's like 3 levels of the community, right? There's like the ultra nerds that like obsess over every little detail. Then you have a slightly bigger ring where people just are in communities talking about this stuff, and then you just have casual internet fans that obsess over the cult of personality, and then anything that comes through the internet is like just gleaned over like no tomorrow. Like Glenn Danzig going to buy kitty litter. What a normal thing to do, but how much Photoshop and like people go nuts when they see Glenn Danzig buying kitty litter and like just Photoshop everything. And you can see the look on his face. He's like, oh God, I never should have bought this kitty litter. As he's walking to his Jag or whatever. I don't know.
You've seen Tim pose as Glenn doing that, right?
No, I've not.
I gotta send you that later.
Please do. But I mean, that's what's interesting. So you have and then of course there's the Danzig gets knocked out video, which is pre-YouTube or right at the dawn of YouTube, which is like the 2 worst things that could happen. A videotape of Glenn getting like, open palm smacked, and it looks like I don't even know what's happening in the video. And number 2, it gets uploaded to YouTube. And those 2 events create this thing that's probably been viewed over 1 billion times. You also have stuff like Hips Don't Lie, the Danzig Hips Don't Lie, the Shakira remix. That's a lot of fun. We kind of talked about this stuff on, what was the last episode we did? Oh, the Tour Rider. Someone was suggesting we do a internet Danzig episode. I guess that this kind of crosses over into that. But and then at the height of the forum, you have people sharing all this stuff, and like Misfit Central, you have like, I remember some names. I remember Rick, but it was spelled RYQ. So I always thought his name was Ryq.
Me too, until I met him.
Yes. And then there was Kyle. Remember Kyle with I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but he was
I've crashed at his house.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I've crashed at his house.
Oh, really? He's
on my birthday.
It's his fault that I'm into Nobody, because remember we used to have these threads where people would post new music, and one of the bands he posted was on MySpace. It was a link to Nobody's Bonin' in the Boneyard or whatever, although that's all over with now.
I actually texted Kyle tonight.
Oh, did you really?
No answer. He's
no answer.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah. And then there was Ken and Jen. I remember they were 2 other mod people. Remember them?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
The Misfits paid for their house they live in right now.
Get out of here.
Not like literally, but like they sold their entire collection and bought a house in Boston.
Oh, so just like Tank did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they had a pretty big collection, right?
Mm-hmm. I refilled gaps that I sold off to like make money to pay rent or whatever.
Do you have a complete collection?
No. God, no.
What are you missing right now?
Where do I begin?
Not that Glenn Danzig would ever watch this, but I have tons. All my stuff is boot. I don't have the money or the time to try and collect. I just like the art. I like the idea of having it on vinyl. That suffices for me.
I try not to buy bootleg.
I understand that too. I'm sorry.
I feel it sullies my collection, but I have every fucking goddamn.
That's okay.
Every Operation Ivy bootleg known to man.
You want to know something? So why doesn't he listen, if he repressed them as 7 inches, I would buy them. I'd buy them up.
Oh, Glenn?
Yeah.
Jerry was trying to have him agree to a 7-inch box set back in like 95, and he's like, okay. Right. And then the lawsuit happened. He's like, no. I don't know why
I think I like your Glenn better than my Glenn. You just sound like an old man.
I sound like an old Italian man because I've been listening to way too many of them.
I've been saying on the show forever that it would be like printing money. Forget about just the Samhain stuff, which is completely out of print right now. But can you imagine if they did more 7 inches of Misfit stuff? Oh my God.
That was a thing. Jerry wanted to do the 7-inch box set with the unreleased, except for like what, 3 copies, Teenage Jamar 7-inch original press, like original presentation, I should say, not original press.
Right.
That was going to be the big draw to the box set.
And you know who ended up with that? But it was never a 7-inch. It was a 12-inch.
Teenage Jamar. It was Static Age and Teenage Jamar is 7-inch, I thought.
No, it's a 10-inch, 12-inch. Oh. However, what is interesting, and I learned this from Tank, those a lot of those 7 inches, the acetate or the test pressings, they were actually done on 12 inches. They were 12-inch, like for Night of the Living Dead and Horror Business. Those were 12-inch.
Well, Who Killed
I'm sorry.
12. I know the Who Killed Marilyn Misfits full band with Bobby and Joey was 12-inch.
And the reason for that, the reason why would you want a 12-inch versus a 7-inch or a 10-inch? Because it's like resolution. Everything sounds nicer when you have more grooves, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But that's not a selling point. Like, hey, this is what it sounds like amazing, so we're going to make it diarrhea, you know?
Right. Right. Well, the other thing that's interesting about the singles and what's interesting about, and I was really, when I was doing my deep dive on 1979, you know, I was reminded of this fact. As a matter of fact, I'm sure, Russell, when you interviewed Bobby, I think, because I used some of your interview, I read it on the thing. He had their amps, they're in the same room, and there's such bleed through from each other's amps that it sort of bakes over in the recording, meaning that there's a lot of bass on the guitar tracks, and there's a lot of guitar on or less guitar on the bass tracks, you know, because Jerry had a giant amp and Bobby had a crappy little amp, and they're playing in one room.
You're talking about Horror Business?
Talking about Horror Business and possible, I think, Night of the Living Dead as well.
Well, that was why they wrote that whole liner note to explain of sound. It was like, ooh, haunted house.
I thought that I thought there was just clunk. I don't know if it was because of bleed through.
I think it was that mixed with just probably, I guarantee the engineer was like coked out too.
Yeah. Well, I have you'll see what I put something together for that in 1979 that I think explains it pretty well. But that could be correct. I truly don't know. I truly don't know.
I think they were all getting out of their mind.
Probably at some level. Who knows? So yeah, and so now the internet is, I guess, grown into what it is, and you know, people are connected more than ever, and Facebook changed the game even more because suddenly all the forums have died. You know, all the forums have died, or you start to see people on Facebook. You know, you see the real people that were behind the names, although there were some that I was already friends with. I remember Kelly Carcinogen. Remember him? He was on.
I found out him before.
Yeah, he was on Misfit Central. I bumped into him when I toured with Blitzkid. He was out there for the Arizona date. He played Nosferatu. He
went from Alaska, where I got this beer, to Arizona.
Yeah. He moved up there.
Hey.
Yeah, I think he's from there originally. I don't know.
He's from Alaska.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then there's also the legendary Scamacy. Everybody knows legendary Scamacy and his band Scamacy. And he's on Facebook. I don't know what he's done. His recording career has died down. He was doing a lot, and now he's stopped. And then there were also the Misfit Central crew was so tight that there were compilations. There was the paperclip, and You Can't Have Another Cheeseburger. And that was like the early aughts, right? That was probably like 2005, 2006, somewhere in there.
I want to say one of them was like 2007 because that's when I was living in Jersey, and I remember downloading that. And my roommate's like, "What are you listening to?"
Now
there was a lot
there
of
was
bands.
Stillborn Monster Babies, and now that was around 2000.
Oh
or maybe,
God,
yeah.
I have those.
Yeah.
The Bible ones you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have those somewhere in my basement.
Yeah. A bunch of my Prime Directive stuff got picked up and used on that one, and then there was one before that. But yeah, but I love that stuff. It was great hearing other bands. You know,
what's crazy is I was just listening to the Serpentines today, and they were on. What was this? It was the second one. What was the second one called? Was that
You Can't Have Another Cheeseburger? Or are you talking about the Stillborn Monster Baby
Bible ones? There was On Earth as a Hell, I think.
Man, I don't remember offhand.
Do you mind if I go run downstairs and look for them?
Oh my God! Look at
Just
Tim.
the host.
Look at Tim. This is so funny.
Oh yeah,
that's our friend Tim.
That was at the Petco on Central Avenue.
Yeah,
he really looks like Glenn in that picture. That's hilarious. That's our friend Tim. Hi Tim. I don't know if he's watching, but
you know, to just touch on the interview stuff. I gotta say, you know, I had the vehicle, I had the website to, you know, to put this stuff out, and I certainly did do all the interviews. But really, if it hadn't been, you know, for other people giving nuggets of information, you know, throughout the years, I wouldn't have certain questions to ask, you know. And people like Tank, you know, he was super nice. I remember just talking to him about, you know, just asking him questions. And at this point, you know, I'd already done probably all the interviews that are on the site. And he said, why don't we just sit down and just go through it, man? I'm like, all right. So I drove down to DC, spent the night there, and we stayed up like all night, you know, talking Misfits. I've got like, I don't know, 8 videotapes of it, you know, that I need to transcribe one day. I remember him the next morning eating these pancakes that were as big as the plate and drinking like a gallon of milk. I mean, literally, like he had the jug, just, you know, but seeing his
big appetite.
Yeah. But you know, we went through some of his collection. It was good stuff. Okay, what do we got here? Yeah,
it was the second one. It's all corroded. I don't know what happened to this.
Wow.
But you know, people like Tank, you know, were instrumental in you know, being able to offer up information, which then, you know, would always lead to more questions. Hey, you know, he told me this. Let me go check this out. You know,
right.
You know, so you got to give props to, you know, all those people, you know, that did help.
He was and very helpful to me when I started doing my thing. I you know, it's funny how you were doing your investigative work. Mark did his. I independently of either one of you much later did my own, you know, and it was funny. I cold called him at his American pool cleaning service. I was like, hey man, I was like, are you the Misfits guy? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I'd like to interview you. He's like, okay. And he's like, hey. He was like, hey, you want to interview Rocky too? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. And so, you know, we all went down to his house. I was right there. I was on the block. I was in Vernon, right in, I guess Doyle was like, you know, a house down or whatever, and Jerry was somewhere down there that right by the factory. And man, they were so cool to be there. And I remember we walked in, there was some Christ the Conqueror thing that I guess Mike Hideous was kind of involved with that Christ the Conqueror stuff.
He was singing for them.
I'm sorry?
He was singing for them when they didn't have anyone professional.
Right. I did 2 hours with him not as a Misfit singer, but really more about like the 80s and the early 90s. My goal was, I mean, I got him, I had Graves. I was like, I never thought I would get Danzig, but I thought it was cool to have 2 out of those, just have those 2 guys, good clickbait. But yeah, his history with those guys goes way back before he sang for them in '98. You know, I never read his book. Do either one of you read his book?
Yeah, or the original.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Never checked it out. I want to check it out sometime.
I
Very curious.
lend you my copy if I could find it.
Yeah, if you find it, you lend that to me. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, that was a weird time for me when that came out. I missed it somehow, but I would have been interested to read it. But I interviewed Mike as well. He was a super nice guy. He's like, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think I ever read that. I'm gonna have to check that out. It's on your site, obviously.
Yep.
I'll go.
Yep. We met at the TikTok diner in Clifton.
Oh, love the TikTok.
Yeah. Good
Great
stuff.
place.
TikTok.
Yeah.
That Joe, Raymie, you know the TikTok, don't you?
Oh, don't you know we had Artie Lang sign a stolen coffee mug? the night stolen from the night the Misfits played Prudential Center.
Oh, really? Wait. So Oni is asking. Maybe any of you guys could answer. Were the Pusshead tapes Thrasher interview the first documented form of information from Misfits discography? I want to say no. I'd say there were zines that had come out that had kind of cataloged that stuff prior.
Yeah, but that was probably excuse me. That was probably the most extensive one, but no.
Yeah, that wasn't my ball game. I mean, I love poring over that stuff and reading it, but I couldn't tell you, the earliest that I'd seen. I mean, I would always go back to Mark's stuff, who referenced all these other things, but yeah.
It was probably the first time Danzig was calling BS on things.
Oh, that was definitely the first time that Glenn was like really. I mean, that interview is so like phenomenally important for so many reasons, because one, I mean, it's pre lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's pre jaded Glenn being in Danzig and taking himself as serious as he would, and like being like, angry that nobody cared about the Misfits or Samhain when they were around. So he's like more open to talking about that stuff. It's closer in time to when that stuff happened. I just feel like it's a really good document. I mean, that's when he sort of, and you know what's interesting? I still think that the Misfits started when Glenn, Jerry, and Manny were jamming, even though Glenn had been sort of flirting with the name as early as October of '76. And he says in that interview, he goes, "Oh, actually, that's where, the girl," he says, the girl, he doesn't call her Diane. He says there was a girl and there was Mr. Jim. But nobody thinks of that as the first lineup. Nobody calls Mr. Jim the first Misfits drummer, because he wasn't, because they weren't really a band yet. So I feel like that's him kind of trying to splitting up with Jerry and Doyle and trying to take away from what they did add or bring to the band. Yeah, but what is that, a violin or money?
Not money, but yeah.
That's in the 80s. There wasn't, what's funny? If Glenn had just given Jerry what he wanted when Jerry asked for like some decks and some shirts, none of this would have happened. Maybe Jerry just would have been like, crush a conqueror,
According to Erie Vaughn, Glenn was already a millionaire by the time Samhain was a band because of deals.
I heard that. I don't believe it. I do
Probably
not. Did you hear that from Erie himself personally?
From Joe.
From Joe?
So when I was living with Joe,
yeah,
Joe called me up one night. He's like, "Hey, guess what I'm doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, you're at that festival that I couldn't make it to the second year in a row." And he's like, "Oh no, I'm got Erie Vaughn. I'm in his room." And I'm like,
wow.
Okay. And then like he called me
about Joe.
What?
I feel like Joe is like Joe is kind of like his own Erie Vaughn in the sense that he talks about it all the time about being like, he's like the collector. He collects every little scrap of paper, and just sort of like he's like almost like wants the Erie Vaughn of his scene and time.
Well, Erie called him idiot.
Huh?
Erie called him an idiot. He's like, "Oh, come on, you were like the guy that this for that and that." He's like, "And I did this and that." And yet Joe's like, "No, you're the Erie Vaughn," and he like put me in the same room as him. And the two of us just like,
that's hilarious.
Like me and you were in the same room. Like, what? What do you want?
Yeah. Joe's actually going to be on my other show. He's going to be on Pizza Punk on Wednesday.
Oh, nice. Oh,
That's going to
asking
be.
about all the pizza that Brian Kellner used to show up to the house with.
I don't know what's going to happen on the show. It's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be as long as Loki's, maybe longer. Who knows? We'll see. Loki and I did 4 hours. It was long.
Did you edit it down? I hope.
No, we just cut it in
Maybe the
half.
Snyder
So
cut. Oh, okay.
it starts on his channel and it goes to my channel. It's 4
Oh.
hours long. 4 hours long. But getting back to Glenn, I don't know if he was a millionaire, man. From the Caroline deal, I don't think so.
I think it's from Caroline and records, and there's always been a rumor that Glenn would just reprint vinyl and not claim it, and so
you said it, not me.
That means that the numbers on Essential are skewed.
You said it, not me.
I listened to an interview from the guy who's one of the two guys that started Revelation Records.
Yeah.
And he said one of his friends was friends with Glenn Danzig, and he had a box of Samhain records that couldn't get unloaded, and he unloaded it on the guy from Revelation Records. And he's like, I still to this day use those weird color pressings of Samhain to like pawn off to get records I want. I'm like, wow. What can I do to call this guy up to get some like pink Initium that I'll never see in my life?
Maybe he's the guy who's auctioning off the pink Initium on eBay recently. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. What's going on, guys? Why is this happening now? Why are these records fetching so much money?
There's a hard business for $700 right now. I saw today.
Oh yeah, are you're constantly scouring? What about you, Russell? Do you go on a lot of eBay?
I don't. I mean, typically, when something gets posted to the group, like that, the Cough Cool, I went nuts watching that, but or the Legacy, or anything like that. But I don't have the funds for things like that.
Right.
And typically, like I bought something from a longtime collector a few months ago. It was a November Coming Fire.
I saw you post that.
Yeah, the I can't remember if it was the tan Unholy Passion or the red one. I can't remember which one I had already, or the maroon one, and an EVILIVE. And this person I trusted, and I didn't even flinch at the price that they were asking. I just immediately, I want that. Send it to me.
Yeah.
I trust your grading skills and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But that was a big buy for me. A few $100, and it was just that was my thing for the year, man. But I do like to look, just to see what things are going for. But no interest in really trying to buy any of that stuff.
Pod says it's almost mint. The Horror Biz on eBay right now is almost mint. So that's pretty cool.
It's fatal.
Who knows? Who knows, man? I have I have an Initium, a first pressing Initium that I bought in the city. I told that story. I'm not going to tell it again, but I told that story. I'll never sell it for the story alone.
You didn't buy that. Your friend bought it.
Right. I didn't buy it. Well, I paid the money for it, but my friend bought it. Right. And the other one is I have a Danzig. When I was on tour with Blitzkid, I got a Danzig first press, European first press on black vinyl for 23 euros. So I feel pretty good about that. But I mean, when you buy those records, I mean, people laugh about all the Danzig sings Elvis right now. But let me tell you what, give that 5-10 years. Those things are going to go for crazy amounts of money. I have a black one. I'm such an idiot. I picked the black one because I didn't think he was going to press any more stuff. And now he's pressing Grundle hair green.
Yo, there's like 10 versions of the 7-inch. I'm like,
do you have them? Did you pick them up? You had to.
What? I haven't yet. And one of my friends who's not a vinyl collector at all sent me a link to them. Like, dude, he goes, well, I thought you'd like them. Like, there's 20 versions of it. I can't,
yeah,
I have bills to pay. There's taxes.
I'm just not.
I got a purple 7-inch. That's what I got, and I got the 12-inch black. The full album. So, and I'm good.
I would buy like I said, if those Misfits 7-inches, if he redid those, like if you had a Night of the Living Dead, was it ever on orange? If they did an orange or green Night of the Living Dead, I'd buy that in a second.
It was
Just be
only
like,
on black.
Pretty colors must own this now. That's
Yeah,
what
because it was like I think they like overcharged like $6 back in 1980.
Oh, that
Wow.
thing didn't go for $6 in 1980. Or no, maybe it did. But when they were selling it at the show, they were selling it for like $2.
Oh, that's what it was.
Nothing. $2 for. It's crazy.
I still have the original price tag on my 3 Hits from Hell. That's probably worth hundreds now. Hold on.
All right, let's see it. Show it to us. That one sold very well. Now, the guy from Fiend Collectors, Michael, really nice guy.
One morning.
What is that? What is that?
The Parasites Morning Noise 7-inch split.
Whoa! Somebody knows his morning noise.
Hey, man. Oh, are we gonna do this? Hold on.
God, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Halloween on Orange. Didn't they do an Orange Halloween? Of course they did.
Halloween
was orange.
All right, excuse me. So my 3 Hits has a $3 tag on it.
There you go.
Right there.
Wow.
Probably from Bleecker Bob's.
Wasn't Halloween on Orange Wax?
No, not that I know of. This is the white label.
Wow. That's so cool. You own that.
I'll play it on Halloween.
Is that what you do? You bust it out on Halloween to play it?
Once I like just to make sure it still works.
Have you listened to that Dave Lombardo interview yet? He talks about like the Misfits doing more shows. Apparently, I haven't listened to it yet.
But
Rick,
this is during quarantine.
I'm sorry.
This is like quarantine interview.
Yeah, morning noise. That's from Tommy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tommy. Okay. Yeah, they're putting something out on Cleopatra, right? Isn't that what's going down?
I know they're putting something out, but I don't know. I don't know what the.
Out. I don't know.
Yeah,
not original.
Something that's not.
No, it's a compilation. It's like a I don't know. It's not new material, right?
What is it going to be like the Death Piggy vinyl that came out?
Grace 2 pod.
I don't know. I'm in that morning noise group, but I can't keep up with everything.
On Facebook, I guess.
Yeah,
Tommy
runs it
for morning noise. He's got a group for morning noise.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have very soon. I really shouldn't. Well, we'll see. I'm hoping that maybe it'll be a crossover episode or something, but also Damien will be making an appearance on the show.
Can you get to sign my final?
I'll ask him. I'll say, hey.
I don't like vinyl sign, but like I got Erie to sign all my Samhain stuff without even asking. He's just like,
yeah. Steve signed my initium. I said, Steve, could you draw a little bat on the back of the initium? So he did. He drew a little bat for me.
Nice,
cool.
So I wanted to have that. So another thing I'd like to talk about that is coming. I have a guest judge, a special mystery guest judge, and the idea here is we're going to do it. It's going to be for charity. It's going to be what happens is you have to donate some money to Save Our Stages. You can do it on Facebook or whatever. You take a screenshot, and what you do, that's how you enter the contest. And then what you do is you're going to cover a Earth AD song like it's Samhain, or you're going to cover a Samhain song like it's Earth AD. And then you submit it to the contest, and then a mystery judge is going to judge the songs and determine pick maybe 1 or 3 or something that he deems to be his preference, and they will receive a certificate, an award certificate that they can frame and hang on their wall or put with their collection. So that's the idea. I don't know if I'm going to make this happen. I'm trying to get this all together.
How long do they have to record it? Or is it like
I got to figure that out. I got to figure that all out. But my judges agreed to do it. And
I mean,
if we drum up enough people, I'm sorry.
So let me go get my acoustic, and I'll like.
Well, listen. The only requirement is that you're trying to do Earth AD songs like they're Samhain songs, You're trying to do
Samhain like Earth AD.
songs like the Earth AD. That's the only requirement. And if you could do that, you can enter the contest. And again, you know, a donation of any size from $1 or whatever for Stave Our Stages, because it's about raising awareness about stages being in trouble and live music being in trouble. And I just thought it was be a really fun way to raise awareness. I don't think it'd be life-changing amounts of money or anything, but it's just more about like letting people know that this is out there. And it'd be a really fun way to hear people be really creative, along with just capturing my imagination. I was doing my top songs the other week, and I was talking about how I want a Halloween done, but like as like a Gregorian chant, you know, it's just like all the way, like, you know, with like a children's chorus, bonfires burning bright. I just think it would be so much fun. You know, I just want people to go out there and do these things because I'm not musical, but I want to see it happen. You know,
maybe I could do a thrash metal Archangel.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be wow! What a great idea, Russell. I'm down for that.
Hey,
Oni says I can hear all murder, all guts, and all fun as an Earth AD track. Yeah, man. I said, I think there's so much connective tissue there. And you can definitely, like, Black Dream could be on Earth AD if it was Earth AD-ized.
I guess you have to rule out Harbiz, right? You know, because it already.
Yeah, that I would. Harbiz is. You know what? Yeah, I don't.
That's low hanging fruit.
It's low hanging fruit, but also I understand why he did it. But I also wonder if it was a filler song, not like. Probably. In the sense of like, probably like, I need some extra material to make this an LP. I'm going to rearrange Horror Business. And when that went as well as it did, because I love the Samhain version of Horror Business for sure. I love it. He did the same thing with All Hell, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and then he did my favorite one of all is Halloween 2 is like, to me, hearing them do that live, just, Did you guys hear Halloween 2? When they did the Samhain reunion, did they do Halloween 2? Well,
I saw the same show you saw.
I don't recall the set list. I was just in heaven.
I saw the Legacy. They didn't do.
We were at the same show, Jeff.
Wait, say what?
We were at the same show.
Oh. You guys, when you met in '99, is that what you're referring to?
No, me and you saw the same show. They did Halloween
Danzig Legacy?
We were both at Samhain Legacy. Were you at the Samhain final reunion?
I did not see the 2014 final reunion.
But we were at Danzig Legacy, and that freak snowstorm in the city.
Yes, Hammerstein Ballroom. That's when I met Glenn. Yes. I was introduced to Glenn Danzig by Steve Zing. It was pretty freaking cool. It was pretty cool. Literally for 5 minutes. That was it. But it was still pretty freaking cool.
Okay.
I was talking about the Legacy show. I was just saying, like, you know, I thought the Legacy shows were great. I told him about how when they played the Best Buy Theater or whatever, which you were at that show too. And I literally turned to my right, and one giant dude punches another dude in the face, and like blood splatters everywhere. And he falls down. And Gorgeous Frankenstein opened up, but this was after Goolsby was gone. This was Alex was now in the band. It was just Alex was fresh in the band, and they did not do any Danzig.
Graham was on bass.
Who?
Graham was on bass, right?
Yeah, left hand Graham was on bass. So they got probably Judd.
His name was.
I'm sorry.
I think his real name was like Vanderveen or something.
All right, let me ask you a question. Were you at that show, the only show where the craziest thing happened ever, where both old Misfit songs and new Misfit songs were played on the same stage, where Michael Graves technically opened for Glenn Danzig?
Do you know where I was during that show?
Were you not at that show?
I was stage... I don't remember stage right to where Gorgeous George was dancing with Michael Graves' wife, Joe, and
Yeah, Joe was there, right? I want to ask him about his POV of that show on Wednesday.
Doyle and George's daughter was playing with My Little Pony on the ramp up to the stage as this was all going on, and I'm just like, there's fans over here like freaking the fuck out, and I'm just like, this daughter, she's playing My Little Pony, she's gonna get stepped on.
Bob Bloodfeast was trying to like record everything too, right?
He might have been in the back of the house recording.
Okay.
I just remember being like, here's the stage, here's me, and I'm just like, okay, Doyle's daughter's playing with My Little Pony as he's just punching the hell out of his guitar.
I wonder if anybody had any thought that maybe Graves and Glenn would somehow share the stage at any point in time.
He told me he tried to interact with Glenn that night, and it was just kind of like no entry from his.
He tried to get backstage to talk to Glenn.
I think he just wanted to be like, "It's finally nice to meet you. You've inadvertently given me purpose in life for a career," and like his bouncer was just like, "No, stand back."
Yeah.
So it was kind of like adieu, and him and his wife got in the car and drove right back to like North Jersey.
That was Goolsby's final show with Gorgeous George. He was up there for 3/4 of a 95 Misfits reunion.
He was Jerry's replacement.
He was Jerry's replacement, and then Danzig. Wow, so interesting.
And they wanted to cut the set short. Like Doyle just kept going, go, 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 go. Did like Chud? He just kept telling Chud just like hit the drums, hit the drums, hit the drums to the next song. Like every time the song stopped, he was going to Doyle. Doyle was going to Chud like go, just go, keep it going. He was trying to blast out as many as he could.
What's interesting is I was listening to a vegan podcast of all things. Doyle was on a vegan podcast recently. You should check that out. I'm sure you would like it.
Please send it to me later.
And he was talking to these guys. He was telling them that basically what happened was that, Glenn called him up one day and was like, who knows if this is true? This is just the point of view, because these guys all have their point of view stories, right? They all everything's from their point of view and it's different. But that Glenn was like, oh, hey, we got some shows coming up. And Doyle was just like, come on, man. Let's just, no, I'm not going out. No more Danzig and Doyle. Let's do it. It's time. Let's do the thing. And that he just, and then he's talked about publicly about how he just played middleman back and forth between those two galoots.
It might have been. That might have been the catalyst. Because no, he did come out and do some songs. That was Starland Ballroom. I remember Kenny Hickey was playing guitar, and I remember they were doing like Misfit songs that they were not doing with Danzig and Doyle. And I remember they did We're Eagles Dare, and I remember after the song was over, Glenn goes, "Hey, Kenny felt like singing that song more than me."
Huh. Yeah, but
that was
2009.
Yeah, it was 9. So 2010 was the last. That was the show that he opened at Gramercy, or not Gramercy.
Right, that was the show I was at. Yes.
What was that? It wasn't the Heineken. It wasn't the Nokia. Was it the PlayStation?
Best Buy.
Best Buy. Okay, so it wasn't PlayStation. It was Best Buy. Revolving door.
That's where I met Kevin 45, Kevin Rankin.
I have a scar on my chin from that show.
What? How? What happened? That's when I met Steve Zing for the first time. Steve, because Steve loves to walk around and people and Steve's just like, "Oh, hey, what's up? What's up?" Because he's like the coolest guy. He'll just talk to everybody. I was like, "Whoa, Steve Zing!" He's like, he just nods at me, and that was it. And I was like, that was my first time I ever met Steve.
Remember I showed you that picture? You wearing that Seinfeld Black Flag shirt?
Oh my God, dude!
That was that
send it to me again. Do you have it? I have it in my thing, but it's so far down in my photos.
I'll send it to you.
So he randomly took a picture of me at that show long before we ever knew each other, because he saw I was wearing a Seinfeld Black Flag shirt that I had just made.
And I was like, I need a picture of that shirt to show my friends.
And I'd cut out a cardboard Danzig belt buckle and tied it onto my belt. I just wanted to look.
Guilty here too. I've made
guilty
one
as charged, right, Russ?
Absolutely. Now you talk about Steve being that cool guy. He was, he was my first interview. and just opened up so many doors. That guy, he would
Sending.
I don't know. I don't think it's anything special. He's just like such a normal dude, that at one point I think we'd met a couple of times, and he took me back to his house and just like laid all this stuff out. I mean, I held the Gresh that American Nightmare was played on.
Right.
Still has that I just touched so many things and listened to so much stuff that, I mean, I felt awesome, being privy to some of that, but beyond that, it was really about him, throwing these nuggets out, and then you start going, oh, well, here's the tip of that iceberg, and let's expand on that thing, and, like, as I said before, it gives you more fodder for, further interviews, and, he's not one to really hold anything back. I mean, occasionally he might say, let's not talk about that, but
right.
99% of topics, he's just like, here it is,
For chill it out. Yep.
I think one of my favorite things that he showed me was a picture when they were on tour with Samhain, and Damien was asleep and on a couch, and they took a piece of paper and wrote "I like boys," or wrote it on his arm or something, and took a picture of him while he's asleep.
Was that on your site? That was on your site.
It might have been in the interview, but I don't have a picture of it, but I do have videos somewhere, and I have a video still of that. But I mean, stuff like that. What's that now?
I've seen the picture. I thought it was from your website. Okay. Maybe it was like Mark's. I mean, Maurice's whatever 7th house.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there may be a photo out there somewhere of it. There was also a picture of Glenn standing outside of their little their yellow Ryder truck van, and he looks like Andrew Dice Clay. It's so crazy. Like he's got this shit-eating grin. Sorry, he's got this eating grin on his face, and he's but the point there is just that you talk about all this stuff that's on the internet. These guys had all this information, and by feeding it, to Mark and myself and, these other people, and, oh, that's great.
That was
sorry, finish what you were saying, Russ, before we look at this photo. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Yeah. Just, more to the point of, again, we certainly, had those vehicles, the websites to put stuff out there, but I just can't say enough, that even way back in the beginning, I didn't know Mark from Adam, and I think he just maybe sensed that I had good intentions, with what I was doing, and he would feed me information and say, hey, look, here's how you can find some stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I think you're smart enough to take this information I'm giving you and go look this up, and and that was really the catalyst for just so much stuff, so without those guys, we wouldn't have that. But further to that, as we talked about, how the game has changed with Facebook, you're right. I mean, I just realized that basically since Facebook came on the scene, I've done zilch in the way of updating TV Casualty. I'll blame it on
man, come on. What about a Facebook page? You make a Facebook page.
I have one, but it was really. Oh yeah. That was the first thing I did outside of my personal page. It's
maybe I follow it already. I'm not sure if I do.
But it's again, there's not much there because I just don't have the time to really do that stuff. But that's a game changer. When I saw Glenn, Danzig the band in October of 2016, maybe. I put those pictures on Facebook and didn't even think about adding it to the website.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
It made things too easy.
Yeah. So there's a game changer there. So you get that, that mix of instantaneous information that's just out there, but also so much BS that you have to, vet and validate. It's, I don't know, but I don't like how things wind up on Facebook, with, you have to scroll through everything to see stuff, or, have some idea, with a static website, it's a little easier to see that stuff. But But yes, I'll agree, Jeff, with your statement earlier that the game has certainly changed with Facebook.
I was about to say it's become that the website is the hard facts now.
Right.
Like if you got something to sell, you go to the
True.
website. You don't go to the Facebook goes like, hey, I'm selling this. Now I go to the website to buy it.
Yeah.
You're so right about that. That is incredibly true. That's what it is. The website is the hard facts. Real quick. So this is after the show, Raymie?
Yes, it was after the show. It was right in front of some hot dog cart.
This is me about 100 pounds lighter. No, in all seriousness, I'm probably weigh about 145, 150 there. I'm like what, 210, 215 now. Like I put on, this is all from I quit smoking and I just like ballooned out. And it's just like, it was crazy. This was a trip to see that photo and be like, holy crap, we had met. And there's my little Danzig belt buckle that I made and my little crimson ghost tattoo.
So
Yeah,
did Raymie, did you actually stop him and say, hey, hold up, dude, I want to, okay.
Like I was legit just finishing an argument with this guy. What do you mean you don't have knishes? Like one of those things.
Yeah.
Because being a vegan, now it's a lot easier, but even then it was a little, and I'm like, why don't you have a knish? And I turn around, I'm like, hey, Seinfeld Misfits man. And I just remember
I saw that on the internet and that was when I quit smoking. That's what I got into. I started to make t-shirts. I made an I Turn Into a Martian t-shirt. I made a horror business t-shirt, but not I made my own design. It was like a green crimson ghost with little antennas coming out. I'm sure if I was an idea man in Jerry's camp, he'd be like, oh, that's great. Put it on a shirt, that sort of thing. And I've just said I Turned Into a Martian in the Great Gila Monster font from the Samhain font. Mm-hmm. And I would just make t-shirts because I was just I was just trying to pass the time of trying to stay off cigarettes, and that's what I would do. And I would just make all these little t-shirts and things. And Seinfeld was one of the last ones I did. I was like, oh my God, Seinfeld Black Flag mashup. So cool. Can't get that in a store. I need to make this shirt. So I made that shirt. It's like one of those things. F&A. Listen. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, do you have a screen print?
No, you know how I would do it? I took an X-Acto knife. I'd print out all my designs had to be 8.5 by 11 because I was a piece of computer paper. And what I would do, it started in 2008. So that was 2010. So I did that for a little while. Yeah. And then eventually what would happen is, my metabolism slowed down. I started to eat more sugar and I don't fit into any of those freaking t-shirts anymore. But what I would do is I would sit there just munching candy and I would put on a movie or music or something. And I use the X-Acto blade. I'd cut out the plastic transparency. I'd trace the design. So I broke this down on one of the earliest episodes of Facebook EVILIVE where, talking about how they would project an image against the wall and do the tracing and thing. We do a full breakdown of that in 1979, folks. So make sure you tune in for that. A much more in-depth breakdown of that sort of situation with better visuals. And what I would do is I'd have to do a different transparency for each color, just the way you do different silkscreen for each color. And so the most elaborate ones were 3 or 4 colors, and I would take a roller and an acrylic paint, and I would just I would buy plain white tees, Hanes plain white tees, and I would just roll them onto the shirts, and the acrylic paint dries, really bakes into the threads. It's never going to come out, man. Even to this day, I have them packed away somewhere, but I probably look like the Incredible Fat Hulk if I put them on now. And, it's just a really cool, fun, super awesome activity that definitely came from my love of the Misfits, and I love doing that stuff. And so that was one of the last shirts that I did. It became a challenge after a while. You're trying to figure out how you can just get really fancy and elaborate, and it's a super analog way to do it, and it's just doing it by yourself. And it's almost like artwork that you wear on your body, because it's you're doing these designs and then rolling the paint on. It's like you're doing paintings on t-shirts. And sometimes I touch them up with a Sharpie, which is, I'm sure, definitely, I have hand-colored silk screened Glenn Danzig shirts, so I know that's something I used to do back in the day. That's not why it was done, but like definitely influenced by that. And so yeah, that's what I used to do. But listen, it's like 11 o'clock. I know all you mother effers have to get up tomorrow. I got to get up to put my kid on the bus. I really want to thank you both for coming on. This was so much fun. We should. I definitely would love to have you guys on at some point in the future. I'll let you know. I'll tap you when I'm running low. I've got some stuff planned coming up, but when I need some in between episodes, this is great for that. And you guys rule. And I just want to thank you, Russell, for all your wonderful support and being a part of this community, and doing TV Casualty and being just an awesome dude. And I hope we get to meet in person someday, whether it's at a show or maybe even in Lodi. If you ever coming up here, hit me up, man.
I'm still banking on that Lodi group trip, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm down. You listen, get that cooking. And Raymie, I can't wait until we can go to a show again.
Russ, are you still in Pennsylvania?
Nope. Alabama, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's okay. I can fly or I can drive. Not scared of that.
Well, just things are gonna thaw, and people will go out and do stuff, and Uncle Glenn will play for us again, and when he does, we'll do what the Seventh House does, or Keep on Danzig. We didn't even talk about the Keep on Danzig guys. They have their own. There's so many different little things. They're like a meme-based community. I love those guys now. They're pretty fun. I gotta send you, Raymie, since you're not on Facebook. I gotta send you my WAP Danzig video that I did.
Me and a friend are working on one with the Alice in Chains mashup. I shouldn't have said that because he's a man. Yeah, we're trying to remix the two of those songs together. He's doing it a lot more than me. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
No, nothing. You should go on. I heard Loki, because I like to listen to Loki and Joe talk. They were talking about how you need to go on Loki's show or whatever, but you have to be drunk when you do it. Yeah, you.
Well,
you got to go on their show and be drunk when you do it. Yeah, there you go. Because he said if you're not drunk, you're not going to talk. But you're talking. You're talking some.
You know what it was? Because they would see me wake up hungover, and I'd just be like,
yeah, yeah.
And they would like poke me.
Yeah,
literally. Anyway, sorry.
All right. This has been a great episode of streaming EVILIVE. I got to get used to saying that. We'll see you next. Oh my God, 6 days, you guys. 6 days, 1979. It's gonna be here, and it's gonna be crazy. And what we're gonna do, one last thing. We're gonna have a pre-show, which is gonna be kind of like this. I'll open it up. People can come on and we can hang out, and then we're gonna go. That's the full premiere of The Thing, and then after that, there's going to be some sort of post-show audience discussion. Who knows? Maybe there won't be. If there's nobody around, then we won't do it. But maybe we will. We'll see. All right, you'll be there. All right, cool. Countdown.
What time are you doing?
Days. What time? It's 7:30. It's on Instagram. You saw it. I know you saw it.
Yeah. You know what?
That flyer. That's what it is.
So
yeah, whatever time it's going to be.
Bobby Steele's in it. You'll see Bobby for a few minutes.
Text me to remind me on that morning or whenever you wake up.
Happy Halloween, Rue Morgue.
Hey,
Oni.
Raymie, are you hard to find on Instagram?
No, it's Raymie Stein.
Okay. I should have known that. Boy, I feel like an idiot.
Come on.
No, I mean, because
my Casualty Instagram.
I mean, is that it? No, Adrian.
Oh,
Adrian.
Oh, yeah. Russell_TVC. That's.
I like that he's Russell Casualty. I'm just going to keep calling him that until
it's fine, man. I'll take that adopted name.
TVC?
Yeah.
Did I spell Russell?
2 S's, 2 L's.
Oh, 2 L's.
2 L's.
God.
Maybe. Oh. Okay. Never mind. It's not Russell Casualty. It's Russ Hell Casualty. Oh.
I got you.
The dad jokes.
Oh, my God. I remember that photo.
Ready?
Which one?
That was a Satan Child tour.
Which one is that?
With your pink hair?
Oh, yeah.
Russell Casualty.
That was actually one of the two shows, either in DC at Nation or Agora Theater in Cleveland. I saw the Satan's Child, Samhain.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Good
I
stuff.
remember that.
All right, guys, I'm really hanging up now. I'm hanging up.
Okay.
Right.
All the dead.
I got like 4 hours sleep ahead of me.